Apri, apri. Apri, apri, apri. Vai.
Good afternoon, Excellencies.
We kindly ask you to take a seat as the program will be beginning. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, distinguished guests, heads of state and government, youth leaders, and participants joining us from around the world. It is my honor to welcome you to the grand opening of the 2025 World Food Forum. My name is Jambigi Sharu from the governing body servicing division here at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and also one of your hosts.
And I'm Lorenzo Gentile, the other host for today from FAO's Office of Youth and Women. It's inspiring to see this room filled with leaders across generations alongside innovators, scientists, investors, indigenous youth, and changemakers from every region. Today, we open the 5th Annual World Food Forum flagship event, while also marking two historic moments, FAO's 80th anniversary and the 80th celebration of World Food Day taking place on the 16th of October.
This is a remarkable moment, one rooted in history while looking boldly toward the future. In just 5 years, the World Food Forum has grown from a youth-led initiative into a global movement for action, innovation, and partnership. And this year, we also honor 8 decades of FAO's work, 8 years of fighting hunger, improving nutrition, and transforming agri-food systems worldwide.
Absolutely, Jambi. And a sustainable future is one where every voice and every action counts. That's why the World Food Forum is built on inclusion, solidarity, innovation, and purpose. And to turn ideas into impact, the forum is structured around 3 key pillars: global youth action, science and innovation, and hand-in-hand investment.
And this year, the program goes even further. Over the weekend, we hosted the first FAO global exhibition From Seeds to Foods, where participants explored how culture, science, and innovation transform seeds into foods that nourish both people and planet. And this week, we will celebrate World Food Day and inaugurate the new Food and Agriculture Museum and Network. We will also convene the Rome Water Dialogue, the Indigenous Peoples Global Hub, the South-South and Triangular Cooperation Ministerial Dialogue, and other high-level sessions designed to foster dialogue, build partnerships, and deliver solutions.
And the World Food Forum has become a platform of platforms, bringing together people of all ages, cultures, and backgrounds to reimagine the future of food. The theme of this year's World Food Forum is Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future. It is both a celebration of this historic moment and, as well, a call for deeper cooperation and transformation, because real change can only happen when knowledge, resources, and responsibility are shared. And now, to set the stage for this year's grand opening ceremony, let's begin with a short video introducing this year's theme. The video will be accompanied by a collection of the World Food Forum anthems from the past 5 years, mixed up by our one and only DJ Sar, a young colleague here at the Office of Youth and Women. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
I need that better. better life if we can put ourselves to the side.
Changed, new life and hope and promise to sustain. But what always remains is young people leading ways. Quiet Tinoshanda, together, yeah, together, yeah, in ensemble, yeah, on fait ensemble, yeah. Je veux que tout le monde
in our fields of hope, we plant the seeds with hands that want to grow, to feed each other, so the dreams that know. Planting seeds feed mouths across the globe. Yalla 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 حبيبي يلا نغني سوا ونحقق أحلامنا سوا. يلا دي حياتنا ونقدر. يلا 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 حبيبي يلا أحلامي ما تكمل إلا بأحلامك أنت كمان. يلا 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 حبيبي يلا 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 نغني سوا. يلا 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 we're strong as one.
Thank you. Thank you to the World Forum team and DJ SAR for that inspiring introduction. The video captured the essence of this year's theme, reminding us that food is more than sustenance. It's culture, community, and a shared responsibility for the future. It is now my honor to welcome the Director General of FAO, Dr. Churong Yu, to deliver the official opening address. Director General, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, all respected leaders, ministers, friends, scientists, young friends, young at heart. Welcome to 5th edition of the annual World Food Forum. 6 years ago, FAO Youth Committee I established on 9th of September, when I first took office as FAO Director General in 2019. And then I established a FAO Women's Committee on 15th of October. It's an International Day for Rural Women. That's 2 wheels driving the transformation of the FAO culture and FAO globally, the moral rising, changing, and now it's come the highest forever. Today, empowered of youth and women needed a platform to play. Because it was only the ministers, ambassadors, DDG speak here. Sometimes the leaders speak here. But now, you can see this week, we started yesterday, last Friday, from seeds to food, and I attracted more than 10,000 visitors. And all the food from all over the world and technologies, they are really highly recognized. It was very impressed, the Reef Saudi, they attracted more than 1 million followers on the X. That's remarkable. The World Food Forum was started during the COVID-19 pandemic to promote food security and agri-food system transformation before UN Food System Summit. Today, it has become a global movement because from the Rome to all the members. So all the roads lead to Rome, but also we need from Rome to the world, not only stay here, and it's nearby Sakala, Maxima, or Crossa. It's very old town, but we need the food produced on the ground and in the field. From Rome to the world, it's more challenging than you come to Rome. That's why we try to attract you come to Rome first, and then you go back to the corner of every corner of the world. Always one goal. From an online gathering in 2021, the World Food Forum has grown into a global flagship event, attracting thousands of people and leaders from around the world. All with one goal, transforming global agri-food system for better food secure future for all. We have shown how we can do better together. The forum has also grown geographically from just one stage in Rome at the start to the over 62 national youth chapters actively today worldwide. From the handful of sessions 5 years ago to more than 300 events during this week. And before, it was only 1 hour celebration World Food Day, but now it's a whole week with 300 events. Last year, it's more than 45 participants online and about 8,000 to 9,000 people in person. This year, just Maximo Toro informed me yesterday, it's already registered 12,000 come here. Even we have more than 1,000 indigenous people to come. This is what happening when the vision becomes action. This is what happening when the youth are in the driving seats. Not only on the second driving seat, now they are in the driving seats. Put them, like unleash your kids. Yeah? Always try to get them on the second seat. No, they never become drivers. Put them on the driving seat. This year, we also mark the historical milestone, FAO turns to 8. For 80 decades, FAO, together with its members and the global communities, has moved forward in pursuit of our noble mandate of the world free from hunger and malnutrition, free from want. So, Honorable President Lula, he put his lifelong commitment to end the hunger in Brazil, and now he back after 2 years' effort. Brazil disappeared from the zero hunger map. Brazil never disappeared on the map, but they already disappeared the zero map. That's remarkable. And also, Lesotho, King. King of Lesotho, so many years being the nutrition ambassador for FAO, not only for His Majesty Kingdom, and also for the Africa and for the global. He come any important event here. So I said, now Lesotho is not a big country, not as big as Brazil, but the king of Lesotho is very famous, at least similar famous to my dear brother, President Lula. So if you do good things, you have a bigger passion, and you have more impact. And also my another remarkable older brother, Professor Yunus, before he got the Nobel Peace Prize, he worked for the smallholder farmers with Microsoft. And then he established a friendship of the Nobel Laureate to support FAO mission. So I mentioned this, of course, ladies, princess. She worked on the green recovery, biodiversity conservation in that challenging countries, being also the FAO ambassador in the region. So I just mentioned that you are 4 people. It's represent the best part of a politician in the world. Give the applause. political commitment is number one. In China, we say if you have biggest problem, reach to the biggest boss. Biggest boss can solve the biggest problem. We are humble small boss, only solve the small problem. So any big boss, if they have a political commitment, they can solve the number one problem in the world. That's why the Lula, we just before coming here, he again to push the ministers and partners on the Global Hunger Alliance against hunger and poverty, Global Alliance against hunger and poverty, because under the G20, you know, the G20, there are a lot of initiatives, but President Lula is so serious. After G20, he still keep push. So I like it, because I said that young people here, you have to learn from good models. Yeah? Good model leader, you are changing your life. Not only changing your own life, changing life who need your help. And our collective belief that food is not a privilege. Food is life. Food is culture. Food is a basic human rights. Most of us, we suffered when we were kids, we didn't have enough food. Yeah? Also, Professor Yunus, you were in Bangladesh, I think also it's a challenge childhood. So it's a basic human rights. On 16 October, the world will celebrate the World Food Day, and the same theme as this forum, hand in hand for better foods and a better future. I choose this theme because the transformation is not built by one actor alone. Transformation is a collective effort. There is an Italian saying, every small piece completes the mosaic. So why Italy is so famous for so many arts? Because they use the mosaic. Mosaic is a piece of the fragmented cement or china, porcelain, whatever you call it. Yeah? But then you make the small fragmented piece become beautiful art. They call it mosaic. Like the beautiful mosaics you see throughout our host city of the Rome, transformation takes many pieces, many colors, many hands, and a lot of creativity and imagination. If you look at the ceiling here, yeah, it was broken. Now it's a masterpiece of the arts in this room. Once we put it together, masterfully, you can see the full vision. You can bring it to life. This year, World Food Day will also unveil something new, the Food and Agriculture Museum and Network. Italia is a long history and a civilization. If we didn't take action on the museum related to food and agriculture, I think it's not qualified as a DG. And I'm so lucky I get a strong support from a host country, especially President Mattarella. So we are going to unveil only 1 year, we build the FO Museum. For Italian efficiency, it's historical. Yeah, I should always appreciate all the works there, and you will see there, it's a historical museum. More than a museum, more than a network, it will be a living cultural space for food and culture. It will showcase the traditions and innovations that shape our agri-food system. It will bring together heritage and technology, past and future, art and science. And just like a mosaic, it will join many fragments into a story that is larger than any single one of us. And that's why I learned the mosaic. Yeah. A lot of people enjoy mosaic as a masterpiece of art. I learned from it's a collective effort, turned from fragment to the collective power and the beauty and the wealth, of course. Dear friends, culture runs through this forum like a thread of light. You saw it in the seeds to the food exhibition. You will hear it in the concert that unites the voice from the every continent. You will feel it in the indigenous people's territory, while the ancestral knowledge become today's solutions. culture teach us that diversity is a strength. It is our resilience. And then we bring our different pieces together. We build something enduring. But we must not forget that around 673 million people, 8.2% of world population, still face hunger. Historically, there has been a significant improvement since FAO was established first. In 1945, the world population was about 2.3 billion, and 2/3 of the population, around 1.5 billion people, were hungry or undernourished. Today, 2.3 billion people face food insecurity, and 2.6 billion cannot afford a health net. It's a different level, but still we have a lot of things to do together. Meanwhile, our agrifood system strain and the weight of the climate shocks, conflict, biodiversity losses. The agency is real. That is why FAO vision of 4 betters must get us to achieve the better production that is sustainable and just, produce more with less, better nutrition that is accessible to everyone, everywhere, a better environment that restore the harmony to the planet, and a better life will bring the dignity and the opportunity to all, leaving no one behind. Each better contributes to us being better together. Each better forms a vision of a peaceful, sustainable, and prosperous world. The World Food Forum is where this vision comes alive, and it's built on 3 strong pillars: youth action, science innovation, hand-in-hand investment. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, the forum welcomes once again the Roma Water Dialogue, a dialogue that is more critical than ever in a year marked by the drought, floods, and rising water insecurity. The forum also hosts the South-South Triangle Cooperation Ministerial Dialogue, building bridges of solidarity and knowledge exchange across the globe, as well as many other events geared towards fostering partnership and action for a better food, secure future. Together, this event expands the forum's reach. They remind us that agrifood systems are not one story, but many. They are global, interlinked, deeply human. This forum is the moment to build our shared future with youth at its center. In just 5 years, more than 500 youth-led innovation projects have been supported, turning bold ideas into real solutions. Nearly 30,000 young leaders have engaged in activities this year alone. Over 16,000 youth from more than 18 countries have shared their perspective through global consultations that have shaped policies. Almost 10,000 young people have taken part in the training and mentorship, building the skills to tackle today's biggest challenges. More than 2,500 educators worldwide are now connected in a network that is inspiring the next generation. On the ground, 126 youth focal points in FAO offices, 62 national youth chapters, 330 young chapter leaders are already mobilizing action locally, nationally, and globally. Dear friends, as we open this 5th edition of the World Food Forum, let us remember that every action we take, no matter how small, adds a new piece to the global mosaic of change we are created together. For 80 years, FAO has worked side by side with nations, farmers, youth, women, indigenous people, scientists, entrepreneurs, all united by one belief that food can be a foundation of peace, dignity, and shared prosperity. The transformation we seek will not happen by chance. It will happen because we choose to act together, to be better together. And may our beautiful host city remind us that what we build together today must endure for generations to come. That's why Rome, we can learn. It's called the entire city. If we do good things, you will enter the history of record. Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director General, for officially opening the 2025 World Food Forum flagship event. Another round of applause. We now have the privilege of hearing from His Majesty King Letsie III of the Kingdom of Lesotho, who is also an FAO Special Goodwill Ambassador for Nutrition, for his remarks. Your Majesty, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Heads of Government, Your Excellency, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, Director General of the FAO, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and honor to stand before you and speak at this important forum. I was here a year ago, and I'm pleased to witness that this event continues to grow from strength to strength. Its focus on providing a platform for the exchange of ideas and the presentation of investment cases for the transformation of agri-food systems is truly commendable. I'm equally impressed by its emphasis on science and technology and innovation, an area that requires deliberate attention if we are to successfully integrate youth into the agri-food space. I am therefore grateful to the Director General of FAO for going beyond the traditional World Food Day celebrations and championing this week-long global networking event. It is my firm belief that this forum will continue to serve as a dynamic platform for enhancing collaboration, facilitating knowledge exchange, and driving transformative action for sustainable agri-food systems. I would like to take this opportunity to call upon all actors here in this room and beyond to forge a global solidarity in transforming our agri-food systems to deliver better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life. We need this solidarity now more than ever, as inward-looking global policies are beginning to stall the progress made in uplifting vulnerable and marginalized communities around the world. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, as we engage in this week-long forum, let us acknowledge that transforming food systems is no small feat. It is a sizable undertaking that demands resources, political will, and broad-based buy-in from all stakeholders. While it may seem costly at first glance, the long-term economic benefits are substantial. For instance, Africa spends an estimated $50 billion annually on food imports, despite possessing vast agricultural potential. If the continent were to fully transform its agri-food systems by addressing challenges such as inadequate infrastructure, low productivity, and limited investment, it could achieve greater food self-sufficiency, reduce its import bill, and redirect those resources to catalyze broader socio-economic development, including addressing youth unemployment and other social challenges. The weaknesses in our current agri-food systems contribute significantly to structural poverty and impose huge costs on public health and the environment. The economic burden of ill health and productivity loss, largely stemming from poor diets, continues to rise. Resources meant for development are increasingly absorbed by health systems dealing with non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and cancer. If left unchecked and untransformed, today's agri-food systems will also continue to damage our ecosystems and accelerate climate change with devastating and potentially irreversible effects on our land, air, and water resources. For this reason, I join the clarion call for urgent and sustained transformation of our agri-food systems. But such transformation is impossible without strategic and long-term investment. Forums like this one give us hope that public and private actors can bring complementary investments to achieve the change we all desire. It is imperative that governments, especially in the global South and in Africa, take the lead by providing enabling policies and making the necessary public investments to drive agri-food systems transformation. You will agree with me that for far too long, we have not been strategic in the use of our domestic resources and investments to advance our agri-food transformation agenda. We have instead allowed overseas development assistance to dictate the direction and pace of our development. Today, more than ever, it is clear that ODA alone cannot drive the socio-economic progress of any sovereign state. This calls for deeper reflection and a fundamental rethinking of how we plan public investments to attract greater private sector participation. The outcome of such reflection should lead to the genuine transformation of our agri-food systems, anchored in food and nutrition security. A transformed agri-food system should be defined by progressive realization of food self-sufficiency, shorter and more resilient value chains, increased regional integration, and reduced dependency on food imports. Excellencies, distinguished guests, as we mobilize efforts and resources for agri-food system transformation, let us appreciate that its foundation lies in predictable and sustained investment, especially in agricultural productivity, critical infrastructure, and innovation. Many countries, including my own, Lesotho, have struggled to prioritize research and development in the agri-food space, which is critical to improving productivity. As a result, agricultural productivity remains low, and food production continues to lag behind population growth. Similarly, investment in essential infrastructure, such as irrigation, rural roads, and storage facilities, has been inadequate. Without these key enablers, meaningful transformation of our agri-food systems will remain elusive. If we are truly serious about achieving transformation, we must shift gears. This means critically examining our policy and investment frameworks, reducing over-reliance on ODA, building stronger bridges with civil society, and creating an enabling environment for the private sector to lead innovation and investment for mutual benefit. Excellencies, let me again commend FAO for organizing this Global Investment Forum. It presents an excellent opportunity to network and share experiences, knowledge, and innovations that can drive food system transformation. As we exchange ideas, let us also reflect on the unique context of our respective countries. What works in one setting may not be effective in another. When we return home, let us apply the insights gained here to design context-specific policies and strategies that will deliver both immediate and sustainable results. This forum also provides a valuable space to explore country and regional investment cases. As we consider their implementation, we must be mindful of changes in the global trade environment, which may affect our current and future investments. More importantly, we must recognize the opportunities presented by regional trade blocs. Accelerating intra-Africa trade, as envisioned under the African Continental Free Trade Area, could significantly reduce Africa's food import bill, strengthening its trading position and promote industrial development across priority agri-food value chains. This would in turn improve food security and create much-needed employment opportunities. Excellencies, as we participate in various sessions over the coming days, let us not forget the plight of unemployed youth. Youth unemployment is a major crisis in Africa, a ticking time bomb that threatens the social stability and economic future of many nations. It is for these reasons that in Lesotho, youth unemployment has been declared a national disaster. Many of us in this room believe that agriculture can play a critical role in addressing this challenge. However, for agriculture and agri-food systems more broadly, To effectively absorb and empower young people, it must undergo profound transformation. The traditional image of agriculture, characterized by hard manual labor and limited access to land, finance, and credit, is simply not attractive to young people. What is needed is a coordinated and targeted effort to equip with relevant skills, to equip youth with relevant skills, resources, and opportunities in the agri-food space. Prioritize investments and innovation that make agri-food careers more appealing and dignified, and expand access to digital technologies to enable young farmers to modernize practices and connect with markets. If we commit to these actions with urgency and determination, we can defuse this ticking time bomb and reposition agriculture as a powerful engine for lifting people out of poverty, driving socio-economic development, and fostering peace and prosperity. Excellencies, let me conclude by underscoring that agri-food system transformation is a complex process, one that no single actor can achieve alone. It requires global solidarity, effective partnerships, and the collaborative efforts of governments, civil society, the private sector, and development partners. This event offers the perfect platform to build and strengthen such partnerships. I therefore call on all of us gathered here to work together toward the transformation of our agri-food systems, so that we may realize our shared vision of ending poverty, hunger, and malnutrition by 2030. Let FAO's 80th anniversary serve as a turning point for agri-food system transformation and as a launch pad for the accelerated achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. I thank you for your attention.
Another round of applause. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your address and for your unwavering advocacy and support for agri-food systems transformation. It is now our honor and privilege to welcome His Excellency Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, for his address. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Meu caro Chu Dong-yu, diretor-geral da Organização das Nações Unidas para a Alimentação e Agricultura, minha querida companheira Janja, Sua Majestade o Rei Letsie III do Reino do Lesoto, meus amigos chefes de Estados, chefes de governo, delegados aqui presentes, e ministros que me acompanham nessa viagem, o meu ministro de Relações Exteriores, Mauro Vieira, o meu ministro de Combate à Fome e à Pobreza, Wellington Dias, e meu ministro da Agricultura Familiar, Paulo Teixeira, amigos e amigas. Celebramos neste fórum os 80 anos da FAO. Há 10 anos, tive o privilégio de participar da comemoração dos 70 anos dessa organização. muito mudou nesse período. Vivemos, então, o entusiasmo da adoção da Agenda 2030. O mundo havia se unido em torno de objetivos comuns e caminhava rumo a um futuro promissor. Hoje, tanto nossa capacidade de agir coletivamente, quanto o otimismo que nos animava, estão abalados. Os desafios se aprofundaram, mas não temos alternativa senão persistir. Enquanto houver fome, a FAO permanecerá indispensável. É simbólico que sua fundação tenha precedido a própria ONU. Uma semana antes de os líderes mundiais se reunirem em São Francisco em outubro de 1945, representantes de mais de 40 países se encontraram no Canadá para criar essa organização. Quando o mundo emergia do seu momento mais sombrio, a comunidade internacional reconheceu que, em seu futuro, não havia lugar para a fome. O brasileiro José de Castro, que presidiu o Conselho Executivo da FAO nos anos 50, dizia que metade da humanidade não come e a outra metade não dorme com medo da que não come. O acesso a alimentos continua sendo um recurso de poder. Não há como dissociar fome das desigualdades que dividem ricos e pobres, homens e mulheres, nações desenvolvidas e nações em desenvolvimento. Nos anos 70, alguns acreditavam que a produção agrícola não acompanharia o crescimento populacional. O progresso tecnológico desbancou essa previsão. Hoje, o mundo produz comida suficiente para alimentar 1,5 vezes a população mundial. Ainda assim, 673 milhões de pessoas, segundo a FAO, estão em situação de insegurança alimentar. Com base em dados do Programa Mundial de Alimentos, é possível estimar que garantir 3 refeições diárias a essas pessoas custaria cerca de 315 bilhões de dólares. Isso representa 12% dos 2 trilhões e 700 bilhões de dólares consumidos anualmente com gastos em armas. Estabelecendo um imposto global de 2% sobre os ativos de super ricos, obteríamos esse montante. A fome é irmã da guerra, seja ela travada com armas e bombas, ou com tarifas e subsídios. Conflitos armados, além do sofrimento humano e da destruição da infraestrutura, desorganizam cadeia de insumos e alimentos. Barreiras e políticas protecionistas de países ricos desestruturam a produção agrícola no mundo em desenvolvimento. Da tragédia em Gaza, a paralisia da Organização Mundial do Comércio, a fome tornou-se sintonia do abandono das regras e das instituições multilaterais. Roma é sede de 3 agências que salvam vidas. O trabalho da FAO, do Programa Mundial de Alimentos e do Fundo Internacional para o Desenvolvimento da Agricultura não deixa dúvidas de que o mundo seria um lugar pior sem o multilateralismo. Graças à FAO, um número crescente de países reconheceu o direito à alimentação em sua legislação. A peste bovina e a doença da cegueira nos rios foram erradicadas e a comida que consumimos segue parâmetros definidos em um código universal que garante sua segurança e sua qualidade. A FAO é exemplo de um multilateralismo que escuta os países em desenvolvimento, valoriza o conhecimento local e constrói soluções adaptadas a cada realidade. O Brasil tem orgulho de fazer parte da história desta organização. Seu apoio foi fundamental para fortalecer políticas brasileiras que se transformaram em referências global. Durante seus 2 mandatos como diretor-geral, o professor José Graziano da Silva, aqui presente, contribuiu para essa fertilização cruzada. Acolhido pela FAO, nosso programa Fome Zero serviu de inspiração para o segundo objetivo do desenvolvimento sustentável. Aliando o programa de transferência de renda, alimentação escolar e fortalecimento da agricultura familiar, conseguimos tirar o Brasil do mapa da fome em 2014. O retrocesso que vivenciamos nos anos seguintes demonstrou que o combate à fome devia ser a luta perene. Não se trata de assistencialismo. É preciso colocar os pobres no orçamento e transformar esse objetivo em política de Estado, para evitar que avanços fiquem à mercê de crises ou marés políticas. Mesmo líderes de países com orçamento pequenos podem e precisam fazer essa escolha. Desde 2023, temos trabalhado incansavelmente para reconstruir políticas sociais. As sementes que plantamos frutificaram. Neste ano, a FAO anunciou que outra vez o Brasil saiu do mapa da fome. 30 milhões de pessoas começaram a almoçar, jantar e tomar café. Em 2024, alcançamos a menor proporção de domicílios em situação de insegurança alimentar grave da nossa história. Registramos ainda a menor proporção de domicílios com crianças menores de 5 anos em situação de insegurança alimentar grave desde 2004. Estamos interrompendo o ciclo de exclusão. Um país soberano é um país capaz de alimentar o seu povo. A fome é inimiga da democracia e do pleno exercício da cidadania. É possível superá-la por meio de ação governamental. Mas governos só podem agir se dispuserem de meios. Por isso, ampliar o financiamento ao desenvolvimento, reduzir os custos de empréstimos, aperfeiçoar sistemas tributários e aliviar a dívida dos países mais pobres são medidas cruciais. Não basta produzir, é preciso distribuir. Poucas iniciativas contribuiriam tanto para a segurança alimentar internacional quanto uma reforma da arquitetura financeira internacional que direcionasse recursos para quem mais precisa. A América Latina e o Caribe vivem o paradoxo de ser o celeiro do mundo e conviver com a fome. A África atravessa crescimento econômico e, ao mesmo tempo, em que registra aumento preocupante dos níveis de insegurança alimentar. Sob liderança do diretor-geral da FAO, o Brasil tornou-se parceiro em mais de 40 países, fortalecendo a cooperação sul-trilateral. 6 instituições brasileiras, entre as quais a Embrapa, foram agraciadas este ano com o prêmio da FAO de reconhecimento técnico a boas práticas, que o Brasil se dispõe a compartilhar com seus sem condicionalidade. O combate à fome e à pobreza é um dos principais pilares da política externa brasileira. Em maio, promovemos o segundo diálogo Brasil-África sobre segurança alimentar, combate à fome e desenvolvimento social. Há poucas semanas, realizamos na cidade de Fortaleza a segunda cúpula global da Coalizão para a Alimentação Escolar. No ano que vem, sediaremos a 39ª Conferência Nacional da FAO para a América Latina e Caribe. Foi desse espírito de solidariedade que nasceu a Aliança Global contra a Fome e a Pobreza. Lançada pela presidência brasileira no G20, ela já conta com 200 membros, dos quais 103 países. Hoje, inauguramos um mecanismo de apoio que impulsionará a implementação de projetos piloto em diversas regiões. Convidamos todos, mas todos mesmo, a contribuir com a iniciativa. Senhoras e senhores, um planeta mais quente será um planeta com mais fome. A escassez de água, a perda da biodiversidade e as catástrofes naturais afetarão a produtividade agrícola e o preço dos alimentos. As inovações técnicas e científicas que transformaram a agricultura no século XX ficaram conhecidas como a Revolução Verde. A mudança do clima exigirá de nós uma revolução mais verde e mais inclusiva. Mitigar as emissões do setor agrícola e adaptar sistemas alimentares a uma nova realidade climática são tarefas que demandam tecnologias e muitos recursos. Para que essa transição seja justa, é preciso redobrar a cooperação. Não haverá justiça climática se o enfrentamento ao aquecimento global não caminhar lado a lado com o combate à fome e à pobreza. Entrelaçar essas duas lutas será a missão da COP30 em Belém. As contribuições nacionalmente determinadas podem se tornar veículos para a promoção da segurança alimentar e nutricional. Isso é possível, fomentando a agropecuária de baixo impacto ambiental, apoiando a agricultura familiar, produzindo bioenergia como alternativa renovável e compensando quem preserva a natureza. Vamos lançar em Belém o Fundo Florestas Tropicais para Sempre, um mecanismo inovador que vai remunerar tanto quem investe quanto quem mantém a floresta em pé. A FAO será uma parceira incontornável na construção de um futuro sustentável. No Brasil, a escritora brasileira Carolina de Jesus, mulher negra, que registrou as aflições cotidianas dos moradores de uma favela em São Paulo, disse que a escravatura do mundo atual se chama fome. Nossa maior missão é concretizar a promessa inscrita na Constituição da FAO e livrar, enfim, a humanidade desse mal. Só vamos combater a fome, a pobreza e a desigualdade de forma eficaz quando os pobres deixarem de ser invisíveis para a elite política. Meus amigos e minhas amigas, eu penso que é importante cada um de nós, ao terminar esse encontro da FAO, em que comemora hoje seus 80 anos, é voltar para os nossos países com a certeza de que a fome não é simplesmente um problema econômico. A fome é, sobretudo, um problema político. É uma questão de opção. É uma questão de saber para onde vai o dinheiro que o Estado arrecada. É preciso saber se as pessoas estão pagando os tributos certos por aquilo que ganham no país. No Brasil, nós acabamos de aprovar uma lei que nenhum trabalhador que ganha até R$5.000, o equivalente a $1.000, pagará mais imposto de renda no Brasil. E aprovamos ao mesmo tempo que todas as pessoas que ganham acima de R$1 milhão por ano irão pagar um pouco mais para que a gente possa, tirar o pagamento das pessoas mais pobres. Portanto, é preciso que cada governante assuma a responsabilidade. Na hora de fazer o orçamento do seu país, na hora de discutir quanto vai para as Forças Armadas, na hora de discutir quanto vai para a diplomacia, na hora de discutir quanto vai fazer de isenção para os empresários, que benefício vai fazer, é importante lembrar que os pobres não são invisíveis e é preciso enxergá-los, porque eles um dia nos enxergarão e aí a gente vai pagar o preço da irresponsabilidade de não cuidar dos pobres, igualdade de condições como se cuida do rico. Muito obrigado e boa sorte.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those powerful remarks. We would now like to welcome His Excellency Muhammad Yunus, Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates Friends, it's a deep honor for me to join you today at this important gathering of the World Food Forum. I thank Dr. Chu Dong-yu, Director General of FAO, more importantly, a great friend of mine, for this kind invitation and for your bold vision in making this forum a platform for action, not just discussion. 80 years of FAO is not just a celebration. It is a call to prepare for the future. This year's theme, Hand in Hand for Better Food and a Better Future, reminds us food is not just about calories. It's about dignity. It's about justice. It's about the world we want to live in. A people's movement led by youth last year in Bangladesh. People of Bangladesh rose peacefully to reclaim their power to ensure democracy, peace, and human rights for all. It is our youth, the young people, full of courage and hope, who led that movement. Their demand was simple: to give power back to the people, to create a society based on fairness, inclusion, and trust. Today, those young people are engaged in the rebuilding of our institutions. They are shaping a new Bangladesh, one that puts its people at the center of governance. In coming February, we'll hold our national election, and with it, we institutionalize our commitment to justice and people's power. A country that feeds its people and more is very important. In Bangladesh, despite our small land area, about half of Italy, we feed over 170 million people and also support 1.3 million Rohingyas who fled under the violence in Myanmar. We have become self-sufficient in rice, which is our staple. We are among the world's top producers of rice, vegetables, and freshwater fish. Our farmers have raised cropping intensity to 214%. We have released 133 climate-resilient rice varieties. We have mechanized farming with subsidies up to 70%. We have built a robust food distribution system. We are reducing stunting. We are diversifying diets. We are greening our agriculture, protecting soil, water, and biodiversity. I'm very happy that the Nobel Peace Laureates Alliance for Food Security and Peace, which was established by FAO in 2016, and of which I'm proud to be a member, has been recognized as an FAO milestone. I hope it will continue to create more milestones as we go along. But let us speak the truth very clearly. Hunger is not caused by scarcity. It is caused by the failure of the economic framework that we have designed. In 2024, 673 million people went hungry. Yet we produce more than enough food. This is not a failure of production. It's a failure of the economic system. It's a moral failure. While we couldn't raise a few $1 billion to end hunger, the world spent $2.7 trillion on weapons. Is this how we define progress, morality, or human values? We must change the system. Let me propose a few steps. Break the hunger, conflict cycle, stop the wars, start the dialogue, ensure food access in conflict zones. Keep the promises, fulfill the SDG finance commitments, take climate action seriously, and help the most vulnerable, build resilience. Create regional food banks to manage shocks and stabilize supply chains. Create and support local entrepreneurs, particularly youth entrepreneurs, with finance, infrastructure, and global partnership. End export bans. Trade rules must support food security, not undermine it. Ensure access to and development of technology and innovation, especially for the global South and to the rural youth, both boys and girls. But we must go deeper. We must rethink the entire economic system. The old way, which is based on profit-maximizing business, has left billions behind. We need to add a new kind of business. We call it social business, a business without personal profit, that solves problems, not creates them, by creating sustainable businesses. Many social businesses are growing around the world, but without any policy support, without any institutional recognition. We must change that. Ultimate objective is to create a world of 3 zeros, a world with zero wealth concentration to end poverty. You cannot end poverty with allowing wealth concentration in a limitless way. Zero unemployment by replacing it with entrepreneurship for all. Zero net carbon emissions. This is not a dream. It's a necessity, the only way to save the world. Social business is the way forward. We have seen its power in Bangladesh. Grameen Bank showed how poor women can be powerful entrepreneurs. Grameen Danone fights child malnutrition. Yes, social businesses. And other social businesses are created around the world. They have empowered people and communities. These are not theories. They are living examples. We must create social business funds to support young entrepreneurs, women, farmers, agribusinesses, creators, and technology developers. We must build legal and financial frameworks to support this kind of entrepreneurship, not stand in its way, what we do today. And this brings me to the most important part, our youth. Today's young people are not like before. They are the most powerful generation in the human history. They are connected. They are creative. They have technology in their hands that are unthinkable just a few years back. Let's not tell them to wait for jobs. Let's empower them to create jobs. Let's tell them you are not job seekers, you are job creators. Let us give them access to capital by creating investment funds, social business funds, and let us help create agri-innovation hubs. Let us support agri-technology, circular food systems, climate-smart enterprises. All can be led by the youth. If we invest in the youth, we will not only feed the world, we will change the world. Excellencies and friends, Bangladesh is proud to support global cooperation. We are a founding member of Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. Together with FAO and under G20, we are committed to real practical support, technical, financial, and moral. Now let us work together to build a world of 3 zeros. The pillars of this forum, youth, science, investment, are not slogans. They are the tools we need to transform our food system and our societies. Today's world has resources, endless of it. It has a technology, endless of it, limitless of it. It will have more mind-boggling technology coming every day. But we need the creative ideas to use this technology with appropriate business format to create a new world. If we can imagine it, we can create it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your wonderful remarks. Now, let's enjoy a vibrant performance. The Bhutan Cultural Group will be showcasing the rich heritage of their nation.
Sa
Thank you to the performers for sharing such a moving expression of their culture. And now we have the pleasure of hearing from His Excellency Michael D. Higgins, President of the Republic of Ireland, who will provide a video address.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends, Acóide Uileach, may I say how much I deeply appreciate the honour of being asked to address this year's opening ceremony of the World Food Forum and of joining with you in marking 80 years of the Food and Agriculture Organisation's work at the United Nations. I had the privilege of delivering 2 addresses on food security at the World Food Forum in 2023. I was pleased to have the opportunity to expand in Rome on the concepts which I had previously outlined when speaking in Senegal earlier that year, of the need for a new approach that is ecologically responsive and sustainable, one that breaks dependency. I later developed this further when speaking at the United Nations in New York last year, and again while delivering the Kofi Annan lecture for the African Development Bank. May I once again express my deepest thanks for the honour which the FAO and the Director General, June, bestowed on me with the award of the Agricola Medal at a ceremony in Dublin last year. Food security and the achievement of food security are themes which I'm anxious to continue working on after I complete my term as President of Ireland in a few weeks' time. Food and Agricultural Organisation, I believe, can lead the new approach we need. FAO was founded 80 years ago with a vision to end hunger and to advance food security for all. The reaction to my speech is in Africa in particular, a continent of 1.5 billion people, which by 2030 is expected to constitute 42% of the world's youth population, has convinced me that the committed young people of today can achieve where previous generations did not and succeed in eliminating global hunger and global poverty. In speaking to you today, I wish to emphasize one point above all others, that this goal will not be achieved by simply adjusting existing models of food production and distribution. Instead, a radical change is necessary, one based on the breaking of food dependence, achieving food sovereignty, and of doing so within conditions of ecological responsibility and justice. All of this is achievable. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Declaration of 2015 were moments of great hope, which reminded us of what is possible. However, the reluctance to live up to the promises which were made 10 years ago and retreat from what was committed to are having a devastating effect. What an appalling statistic it is that an estimated 673 million people are today living in conditions of hunger. 9 out of the 10 most climate vulnerable countries in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa, while the 20 countries most affected by climate change between them account for just 0.55% of global emissions. According to the 2025 Global Hunger Index, conflict remains the most destructive force driving hunger across the planet, fueling 20 food crises affecting 140 million people in the past year, while wars in Gaza and Sudan illustrate how conflict devastates lives and livelihoods. With humanitarian assistance being so sharply cut as military spending surges, we have an inversion of priorities that undermines the global hunger response. Elsewhere, rising levels of obesity and widespread food waste point to a system out of balance where abundance and absence coexist, often side by side. In so many ways, we are wrestling with the consequences of a globalization from above, led by powerful forces of oligarchy and concentration of power, without transparency, without consideration as to social justice or ecological consequences. In addressing food security, we must now move past previous reactive emergency humanitarian responses, necessary and important though they are, and undertake the urgent task of tackling the underlying, repeating, structural causes of hunger. The issues of ownership of seeds, fertilizers, tools of production and their distribution, food speculation in crops, obstacles to the migration of science and technological innovations, questions as to the lending policies of the financial institutions. All of these issues cannot continue to be ignored and must be pushed to the fore in the discourse. Fundamentally, there are two competing models of food security vying for adoption. One, based on industrial agriculture and repositioning in global supply chains. The other, stressing the agency of smallholders, focused on the achievement of the United Nations 2030 agenda. I am delighted that the Food and Agriculture Organization is making a particular appeal to young people, and I urge them to seize the opportunity in their different countries to press for a new model which I have described when receiving the Agricanal Medal as a globalization from below, one which can be achieved by the upskilling and empowering of citizens. It is something which the FAO achieved in the 1950s with its response to the Asian food crisis. Ending hunger through a transformed food system has the ability to restore ethical purpose to humanity. It is a basis for seeing beyond narrow interests and immediate short-term horizons, and of embracing our shared responsibility, steering future generations towards a future of sufficiency, a better life, sustained by a better environment, nurturing better food and nutrition. I believe that there are some basic issues that surely cannot continue to be ignored. Issues relating to gender, land ownership, commodity choices, the external purchase of land, and most fundamentally, the need to redefine development itself as a concept of sufficiency, sensitive to contemporary conditions, inclusive of the best aspirations for life, enabling for the fullest participation, both in life and in government. All of this achieved with ethics and bearing responsibility for future generations. It will be of enormous benefit to democracy itself to seek to achieve food security within a model of sufficiency, with what is traded coming from what is accepted as a surplus. Achieving food security is a building block for democracy and participation. When combined with universal basic services, it can in fact introduce, defend, and extend democracy. In being people-led, such a model, respectful of diverse indigenous cultures, will make a significant contribution to participation and citizenship, and be a source of the leadership needed to create a sustainable, shared future. Dear friends, change is possible. I strongly support the Democracia Siempre initiative of President Lula and President Boric, and the Global Alliance of President Lula and others on the elimination of global hunger and global poverty. The upcoming COP in Belém and South Africa's presidency of the G20 are so important moments in this work. It is clear that today, just as in 1945, hunger has no respect for borders and no country can overcome it alone. Our best strategy for lifting millions of people out of food insecurity, hunger, famine, is to act together urgently and with solidarity with multilateral institutions like the Food and Agriculture Organization leading the way. We are challenged to embark on a new beginning. At this year's World Food Forum, I urge you to work towards one that is inclusive, life-affirming, and celebratory of diversity, one that can work in a variety of settings, including Africa, upon which so much of our hope for the future rests, one that adequately responds to climate change and the needs of sustainability, one that offers best possible prospects for avoiding unnecessary conflict and achieving peace within and between peoples. You must succeed in the name of all humanity. Thank you. Buikas.
Thank you to the President of Ireland for his inspiring remarks. We will now watch a short video prepared by the World Food Forum National Youth Chapters, highlighting what a better food future means to them.
Around the world, young people are coming together, united by one mission: to build a better, fairer, and more sustainable food future. From rural villages to bustling cities, youth are overcoming fragmentation, connecting, collaborating, and creating impact. Because when youth unite, small actions can lead to long-term impact and more resilient communities. The World Food Forum National Youth Chapters are youth-led platforms, bringing local action to life, driving FAO's mission to achieve food security for all by transforming our agri-food systems. Each chapter is powered by passionate young people, leading change through policy, innovation, education, and culture, creating tangible impact in their communities. With over 60 national youth chapters across 5 regions, the movement keeps growing, connecting youth from all around the world.
Across Africa, we are empowering young people to take food waste and champion suitable farming practices.
With the support of the World Food Forum Youth Initiative, we are thinking globally but acting locally.
In Asia and the Pacific, young innovators are connecting across countries,
transforming local solutions into broader impact.
Together, we are taking action for a better food future.
Across Latin America and the Caribbean, young people are transforming the way we produce and consume food. Through youth leaderships, we are having a direct impact on our community in our region.
In the Near East and North Africa, chapters are building youth networks that influence policy and create new opportunities for sustainable agriculture. We are shaping pathway for young people to lead the change.
In Europe and Central Asia, we are uniting youth organizations and decision makers, turning ideas into concrete projects that make agri-food systems more sustainable.
And in North America, young people are showing how community-driven action can make a real impact, and we're just getting started.
Together, the World Food Forum National Youth Chapters are more than a network. They are a global movement of young people, transforming the future of our agri-food systems, one community at a time.
What an inspirational video. It's great to see so many young people taking the lead in their countries to transform our agri-food systems. And this brings us to our first intergenerational roundtable of the day, engaging youth in decision-making for the future of our agri-food systems. To open the session, I would now like to call on stage Her Royal Highness, Princess Besma bint Ali of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, for her remarks. Your Royal Highness, the floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests. It's an honor and great pleasure to be amongst you today as FAO marks 8 decades of unwavering commitment to its 3 main goals, which I would like to remind ourselves of what they are. First, the eradication of hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition. Second, the elimination of poverty and the driving forward of economic and social progress for all. And third, the sustainable management and utilization of natural resources, including land, water, air, climate, and genetic resources for the benefit of present and future generations. As each decade passed, the FAO evolved and adapted, as we have seen, steering the course through innovative science-led approaches that meet the needs of most of the most vulnerable communities. FAO has become an instrumental global mechanism in translating the concept of food security for all to on-the-ground projects and programs with direct and tangible outcomes that have positively impacted millions of people. However, the face of hunger, if you allow me to use this term, has drastically changed over the last decades to include a phenomena with which many cities across the globe, and especially in developed countries, have areas identified as urban food deserts, where they do not have the physical access to fresh, health, and nutritious food, while in other areas it may be available, but many cannot afford to buy these foods. The situation is further augmented by destructive industrial-scale farming practices, which has been a driver of climate change and looped around, now is being intensified by it. Having said that, I am very happy to acknowledge the many achievements of the FAO by adapting to the changing times and needs. It very successfully developed new, diverse approaches and strategies and forging transformative partnerships. When we look at the multitude of programs and projects across the globe, as we have seen demonstrated within this week, it becomes extremely evident how the FAO is turning the tide. Through its strategic partnerships with governments, academia, research centers, and other organizations, FAO is capitalizing on their knowledge and comparative advantages. Yet, even more remarkable of late, these transformative partnerships have included women, youth, indigenous peoples, local and marginalized communities who are at the very front lines of vulnerability. But, and here I would like to stress this, but at the same time, possess a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that we can take advantage of. Finally, their voices are being heard, and they are regaining sovereignty and governance over their food systems for a better future. And as the Director General coined the concept of the 4 Bs, better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. For life can only get better by ensuring a better environment, which is the foundations of sustainable food systems and resilient communities. This requires conserving and protecting forests, soils, water, systems, and biodiversity, meaning all ecosystem at large. And they are the very things that sustain life and nourish generations. As we now know very well that healthy ecosystems are inseparable from regenerative agriculture, which result in highly nutritious products. Here, I draw upon the Islamic value of having humans as the custodians of the earth. For we do not possess it, but are merely taking care of it for the next generations to come. Accordingly, engaging young people in stewardship is absolutely vital. Cultivating their curiosity, care, and responsibility for the planet as we are handing it on to them. Every action does truly matter. From restoring forests to sustainable regenerative agriculture, everything is connected. Caring for the environment is both a moral obligation and a practical necessity if we want to live a life of dignity, leaving no one behind. Yes, as I said earlier, hunger has seen many faces, and we must be cognizant of the very world we live in. Frustratingly, it is not limited to climate change and the degradation of the environment. Today, the world witnessed the human-induced starvation in my region, meaning in Gaza mostly. I urge you all to do your part in ensuring we rebuild the food systems, and according to FAO report, only 2 years earlier, they in Gaza were actually a major exporter of certain foods. Now, today, they stay starving. Hopefully, today, things will change, inshallah. Today, we must rebuild. Today, we must enable everyone across the globe to have access to food as it is, and as we all agree, a right and not a privilege. Let us work together to nourish people while safeguarding nature, cultivating a thriving planet and a resilient communities. Finally, I would like to leave you with this thought. Each one of us will be leaving this earth at some point. And once we do, we will not take anything with us. Not our doctorates, not our projects, not our titles, nothing. But rather, we will be leaving behind one thing, and that's our legacy. The legacy of our individual decisions. So I ask each and every one of you who has access to make the change, be it across the generations, to make this change today, truly and honestly, to do it and to leave a legacy of the 4 Bs, hand in hand for a better future. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. And if I could kindly ask you to please come back on stage and take a seat. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Thank you. I would now like to invite Ms. Lauren Phillips, Deputy Director of ESP. Sincere apologies. Ms. Lauren Phillips, Deputy Director of the Rural Transformation and Gender Equality Division at FAO. And our 2 youth panelists, Shalala Hassanova from the World Food Forum Youth Policy Board and Maria Valentina Forero from the World Food Forum Food Lab 2025 Global Cohort. Lauren?
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Your Royal Highness, for the excellent remarks to get us started. I heard you call for us to help make a change across generations, and I think that's exactly the spirit of this first intergenerational roundtable that we're going to speak about today, to hear about the importance of engaging youth in decision-making and policy-making in order to transform agri-food systems. Let me just start by mentioning that in July of this year, FAO published a report called The Status of Youth in Agri-Food Systems. And one of the findings, the policy findings, highlighted exactly the theme of this session, which is that youth participation in policymaking is absolutely critical and of great importance, and that there's two ways to do this that are very promising. The first is to include young people in youth organizations and networks, like we're hearing from today. And the second is to work at an intergenerational basis in local communities to help transfer knowledge, experience, skills, and networks from older generations to younger generations, which I believe is something that both of our youth speakers will talk about. So I'm going to start with you, Shalala. Reacting to the speech of Her Royal Highness, and from your experience, can you tell us a little bit about the biggest barriers you feel that young people face in participating and influencing policies? And what can we do to overcome them?
Thank you very much for highlighting such an important question. As Her Royal Highness mentioned here, that we are not going to take anything with us, but we can build the future for the future generation. Because of that, I want to highlight some few barriers that today, as a young people, we are facing. And also, I will give some feedback that maybe we can solve this problem for future generation. I'm going to talk from my own experience that I have been invited for conferences, for roundtable discussion, consultations, and what happened, imagine the consultation without result, and also panels without voting. So this is a clear sign of the tokenism. Tokenism is something, visibility without levers. So we have to think about this. And the remedy that we are proposing, that we need to give power to youth to vote and work on their agri-food councils at their national region and also their country. And after that, we can back up them with the public disclosure rule. We can put them, we can give them a rule for the transparency to see how the young people, what the young people bring to the stage, what is their recommendation, and how this recommendation were amended, changed, or maybe rejected. But transparency will help us to see what is the real procedure, where we make the mistake. So that's why if we follow this rule, maybe we can solve this tokenism issue around these global events. And the second point I want to mention here, giving the asset and financial support to youth, that here today young people actually, they struggle to access land, and this is one of the reasons that we see many young people migrate to cities from the rural areas. And here, what we can give as a solution, we need to give them access. We need to give them open a window for a land window for them to work and financially support them to have a first loss risk. But here, what we should highlight, that this is not a charity. This is actually we are sharing the risk that to correct the structural disadvantages that young people are facing today. And also we need to think about the intergenerational transfer of the assets, that we need to have a clear and easier policy and regulation to make and all this transferring from old generation to the young generation, transferring assets, land rights or experience. This is what we also have to think. And then my last point, the barrier I'm going to talk is about policy literacy gaps and the data poverty, and also the lack of the data that young people in the rural area they are facing today. Many consultations are clustering in the cities. So this is an important issue that we have to focus, that we need to involve all these rural youth to these consultations, to give them like a stage to raise their voice and vote. And that's why maybe we are proposing as a solution that to fund their lab, like a rural youth lab, which I mean here, we are supporting them to work with the regulations, to work with the mentors and test their ideas. Without testing, we cannot, we cannot know how is the procedure is going to work. So for future, we need to give the clear, correct, and working procedures. So, and I want to conclude that we need 4 things right now to help youth. This is access, power to vote, to have a voice, financial resources, and skills. If we give all these 4 pillars, which is our pillar, then we can say yes, we are sure that we are much more away from approaching tokenistic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause. Shalala, you touched on so many very important issues, and you talked about transparency and accountability, but also overcoming some of the barriers in access to finance and resources. So I'm going to pass now to our colleague Maria Valentina to ask you about your insights in your work in Colombia and in the Latin American region. How do you think that governments and institutions can move beyond just consulting youth and really have them as co-creators of policy? Maybe something about the youth labs that Shalala mentioned. Please.
Yeah. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the remarks. So to move from consulting to co-creating, governments and initiatives, and they can support platforms such as the World Food Forum national chapters in Colombia, for example, or all of the national chapters around the world, as we just saw, like the video. And it is important to support them because afterwards they can support other initiatives and other programs. For example, the Youth Food Lab, I was part of this year, and it is going to be like a chain of supporting. So once you support the World Food Forum national chapters, for example, in Colombia or in other parts of the world, then they're going to have more more infrastructure and resources to support the projects that are already in the communities and in the territories. And at the end, this will be like a chain of supporting that at the end will create more impact.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's a positive chain of interaction between people. And tell us a little bit more about the chapter that you mentioned in Colombia or in other countries, and how that work is happening on the ground and what kind of commitments are being made.
Right. So in Colombia, the national chapter of the World Food Forum just recently launched. And what we're trying to do is to take all of the initiatives here in Rome and then take them back to Colombia, so all of the resources, all of the courses program, so we can expand them and get to all of the projects that are in all of the regions, like everywhere around Colombia.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Your Royal Highness, you heard from our 2 youth representatives a little bit about their insights and experiences, and I would love to give you some space for your reactions, but also to tell us how the Kingdom of Jordan is working to make sure that young people are involved in policy discussions?
Thank you very much. And first of all, one thing we in Jordan do is we have to listen more than we speak. We tend as older people to speak more than we listen. And giving them the opportunities, as I said, through opening the chapters and whatnot, we have to hear, because they're speaking the language of the future. And they are translating to us, the older generations, what the new future is coming. And this is a dialogue that it's not one-sided. Neither is it only for the youth, nor is it for the, our generations. So it's imperative to give them this space, as we have, and we have two young Jordanians here from the Ministry of Youth that we have in Jordan. And hopefully they're going to receive, inshallah, a prize tomorrow. So basically giving them this space and the platform to hear their voices and literally listen to what they're saying, not just to speak, but to hear what they're actually saying and give them the support required, be it capital support, be it the space, the enabling environment, as was mentioned earlier in the speeches earlier.
Thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause as well. I think you've really hit on the most important thing there, which is not just listening, but hearing, right? And making sure that the conversation is genuinely a dialogue and not just in one direction. It's true. Those of us who are a bit older tend to speak a lot, no? So I would like to pass the floor back to Shalila then, to tell us about some innovations or experiences that you've seen working on the ground that have really put into action some of the things that you mentioned in your first intervention.
So I can actually talk about right now what as a youth, young people we are focusing. We are trying to use the power of digital era, which is, we are really good at that, and we want to use this opportunity fully to shape our own future. So, and as we know that this is the digital era, and we can implement, if you are talking about the food, we can implement these, we are implementing these digital tools, digital AI, for example, to the food sector, that starting from checking the moisture of the soil, learning more how we can collect the data from the nature to focus on the biodiversity, to focus the forestry, fishery. So today, as a youth group, we have different subjects that we are working, and we are implementing these digital tools to collect more data and to focus on the real challenging that all the young people, not only young people, the world is facing. We see us as a one like a branch that we can be a part of the team that who's paying it and who is actually responsible. It's like carrying the problem, but at the same time solving from one side to see how it's like a drop in the sea. Drop by drop, we are trying to support the team, the whole team. As a youth team that we build today, this is our main focus to solve the problem that right now we are tackling. And I believe that we have to take the responsibility of our future, which is we're gonna pass to next generation.
That's great, thank you so much. I think I would like also to hear from Maria Valentina if you would like to highlight any innovations. So Shalila mentioned the importance of digital and technologies, but it would be great to hear about how that or data is influencing also policy spaces or the work that you're doing.
Right. So all of these innovations are influencing mainly for us, for youth. For example, in the youth lab, we learned a lot about system mapping, financing, and all of these. We can take it from the youth lab, from the theoretical, and then take it to action to all of our regions and all of our context.
That's great. Your Royal Highness, let me give you the last word to sort of help us think about the next steps for forums like the World Food Forum, the Youth Forum, and the policy work that's ongoing.
One thing I would like to celebrate, since we're in a very celebratory mood,
excellent,
is to celebrate the most remarkable character of youth, and that is the energy of they're unstoppable. They have the energy of hope, they're not cynical, and they see every possibility where we fail to see. The smallest glimmer of light, they can make it a magical beam of hope and opportunity. And this is where I can't limit them to what they could possibly see. So I would like to have a round of applause to all our youth and support them, because they are the energy of tomorrow. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think that's a great place to end. I just wanted to remind everybody that, I mean, the theme of this topic and this roundtable is really making sure that we include young people in policy dialogue. But I think it's also important to recognize that innovation is coming from young people themselves, that they are bringing energy and they're helping to transform food systems, but also that we need to make sure that the enabling conditions are in place through our work with organizations, as governments, as multilateral institutions, and that should give us all great hope. And so I want to thank you again, the three of you, for this excellent panel, and thank all of you for your attention.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you to Your Royal Highness, Shalala from Azerbaijan, and Maria Valentina Forero from Colombia for such a rich discussion on the power of youth engagement. Your insights remind us that inclusive policies are not optional. They are essential if we want agri-food systems that reflect realities and aspirations of all generations. We are now honored to hear from His Excellency Miguel Diaz-Canel, President of the Republic of Cuba, who joins us with a video address.
Muy estimado señor GO02, Director General de la Organización de Naciones Unidas para la Alimentación y la Agricultura FAO. Mis saludos desde Cuba para todos los participantes en el Foro Mundial de la Alimentación de este año, en que la FAO cumple 8 décadas uniendo esfuerzos por liberar al planeta de una de las plagas más terribles para la humanidad, el hambre. Me honra y estimula su invitación a ser uno de los oradores del Foro Mundial de la Alimentación en representación de un país fundador de la FAO, organización a la que nos unen fuertes e históricos lazos de cooperación y objetivos comunes en la batalla por la erradicación del hambre, la transformación agrícola y el desarrollo rural sostenible. Nos inspira especialmente participar en el FMA, considerando que sus 3 pilares, juventud, ciencia, innovación e inversión, apuntan a acelerar la transformación de los sistemas agroalimentarios para alcanzar los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible, empeño que compartimos. Resulta imposible olvidar en esta hora que la FAO surge en un contexto de posguerra, con Europa devastada y el hambre amenazando a millones de seres humanos sobrevivientes del conflicto. Lo trágico de esta historia es que continúa vigente el desafío que el mundo enfrentaba entonces: lograr un mundo libre de hambre y de malnutrición, donde la alimentación y la agricultura contribuyeran a mejorar de forma sostenible los niveles de vida de todas las personas. A lo largo de estas 8 décadas, el mundo se ha vuelto más complejo, injusto y riesgoso para decenas de millones de seres humanos como consecuencia de las guerras, el cambio climático y las brechas cada vez más anchas entre los que tienen y los que no tienen, entre los ultrarricos y los desposeídos, los hambrientos, los parias del mercado en la era neoliberal. En ese dramático contexto, siempre habrá que distinguir la valiosa contribución de la FAO al mejoramiento de la vida de millones de personas en todo el planeta y su acompañamiento a los países que necesitamos y buscamos establecer sistemas alimentarios sostenibles. Cuba puede dar fe de esos resultados y apoyos. En 1978 fue establecida oficialmente una representación de la FAO en Cuba, marcando el inicio de una cooperación clave para fortalecer la seguridad alimentaria y el desarrollo rural sostenible. Nuestro líder histórico, el comandante en jefe Fidel Castro Ruz, estuvo presente en la inauguración de la actual sede de la FAO en el país en el año 1992, como expresión de la alta importancia que le concedió desde el primer día a los programas de la FAO en el país y su permanente desvelo como impulsor de la solidaridad y hermandad entre los pueblos para la erradicación del hambre y la pobreza. Su discurso en la Cumbre Mundial sobre la Alimentación en 1996 es un hecho trascendental en la memoria de la FAO por su fuerte advertencia a los líderes del mundo, y cito: las campanas que doblan hoy por los que mueren de hambre cada día, doblarán mañana por la humanidad entera si no quiso, no supo o no pudo ser suficientemente sabia para salvarse a sí misma. Durante décadas de cooperación, la FAO ha sido un pilar de apoyo para Cuba, brindando asistencia técnica y recursos necesarios para el desarrollo agrícola del país, la producción de alimentos y la consolidación de instituciones científicas de alto nivel en el ámbito agropecuario. Cuba ha puesto a disposición de la cooperación Sur-Sur sus capacidades y experiencias para apoyar a otros países en desarrollo, intercambiando saberes y aprendizajes con otras naciones. En la actualidad, la FAO se destaca como un actor clave de apoyo al país en la transformación de los sistemas agroalimentarios, el enfrentamiento al cambio climático y la conservación de la biodiversidad. La FAO impulsa además el empoderamiento de mujeres y jóvenes en el ámbito rural, fomenta la aplicación de la ciencia y la tecnología y facilita la transferencia de conocimientos para una producción más eficiente, sostenible y resiliente. Ha sido importante el apoyo al país en la construcción e implementación de políticas públicas para transformar los sistemas alimentarios locales, incluida la Ley de Soberanía Alimentaria y Seguridad Alimentaria y Nutricional, así como otras políticas y normativas. Con el apoyo de la FAO en 2025, se implementan en Cuba 13 proyectos que abarcan 59 municipios de la isla. Considerando esa cercanía en los propósitos y la historia que compartimos, el 80 cumpleaños de la FAO es una celebración que sentimos como propia. Y este foro, otra prueba más de nuestras coincidencias en el enfrentamiento a los desafíos que plantea la alimentación humana y animal en una época que vuelve a oscurecerse por guerras y amenazas de guerras, en los que algunos no dudan en usar el hambre como un instrumento para el control y sometimiento de los pueblos. Medidas coercitivas unilaterales como el criminal bloqueo a Cuba, que dura más de 6 décadas y se recrudece continuamente, apostando a la rendición de nuestro pueblo por hambre y necesidades, son aplicadas como otro método genocida contra los palestinos en Gaza. Mientras, el injusto orden internacional, las secuelas del colonialismo, el neocolonialismo y la profunda pobreza inducida por esos factores impactan, junto con el cambio climático, en vastas zonas del sur global. No cito estos datos para ensombrecer la celebración que compartimos, sino para resaltar, como corresponde, el extraordinario desafío de la FAO en los difíciles tiempos que corren y el mérito de quienes trabajan en la organización con su esfuerzo para borrar la hambruna del planeta. La conmemoración de los 80 años de la FAO nos da la oportunidad de reconocer el trabajo junto a Cuba para lograr una mejor producción, una mejor nutrición, un mejor ambiente y una vida mejor sin dejar a nadie atrás. Junto a la FAO, continuamos consolidando nuestras metas esenciales en el país para avanzar hacia sistemas agroalimentarios más eficientes, inclusivos, resilientes y sostenibles. Muchas gracias.
Thank you to the President of Cuba for his remarks. Now we move to our second panel that will look at how investment can turn vision into action and ensure progress reaches those that need it the most. The panel will focus on investing in agri-food systems transformation To open the session, I invite His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, Prime Minister of the Republic of Djibouti, for his address. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Avant de prononcer mon discours, j'ai une pensée pour la population de Gaza qui a souffert de la guerre et de la famine. C'est pour moi un privilège de m'exprimer aujourd'hui au nom de la République de Djibouti à l'occasion du Forum de l'investissement de l'initiative dans la main dans la main 2025. Permettez-moi tout d'abord de saluer chaleureusement le 80e anniversaire des Nations Unies, dont l'action et la vision demeurent une source d'inspiration pour l'humanité entière. Je souhaite également exprimer la reconnaissance profonde de mon pays à l'Organisation des Nations Unies pour l'alimentation et l'agriculture en lançant cette initiative novatrice axée sur les investissements, la solidarité et la transformation des systèmes agroalimentaires. La FAO ouvre de nouvelles perspectives pour accélérer la réalisation des objectifs de développement durable et plus particulièrement ceux qui visent à éradiquer la faim, à réduire la pauvreté et à combattre les inégalités. Mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, la République de Djibouti occupe une position géostratégique unique à la jonction de l'océan Indien, de la mer Rouge, sur la deuxième voie maritime la plus fréquentée au monde, après celle du Pacifique Nord. Véritable carrefour des échanges internationaux, Djibouti s'impose comme une plaque tournante incontournable du commerce maritime et de la logistique mondiale. Grâce à cette situation exceptionnelle, notre pays constitue le débouché naturel des nations enclavées de la région, en particulier l'Éthiopie, mais aussi un point d'accès privilégié vers l'Érythrée au nord et la Somalie au sud. Avec plus de 370 km de côtes ouvertes sur le golfe d'Aden, Djibouti est au cœur d'un espace économique de plus de 350 millions de consommateurs, incluant les pays du Common Market of Eastern and Southern Africa, le COMESA, de la péninsule arabique. Pour répondre aux ambitions régionales et internationales, Djibouti s'est doté d'infrastructures modernes et compétitives, un réseau de télécommunications pointe offrant une large gamme de services numériques, un réseau routier fiable permettant un acheminement rapide de marchandises vers l'Éthiopie et la Somalie. Une ligne ferroviaire moderne reliant directement les ports de Djibouti à Addis Abeba sur près de 800 km. Des ports de renommée mondiale reconnus pour ses prestations logistiques hautement compétitives et un aéroport international offrant des liaisons directes avec des grandes capitales du monde. Djibouti est donc bien plus qu'un simple point de transit. C'est une plateforme stratégique d'investissement, une porte d'entrée vers des marchés dynamiques et un partenaire de confiance pour les entreprises qui souhaitent croître au carrefour de l'Afrique, du Moyen-Orient, de l'Asie. Mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, la République de Djibouti se positionne aujourd'hui comme une terre d'opportunités pour les entrepreneurs et investisseurs en quête de nouveaux marchés dynamiques et porteurs de croissance. Notre pays s'est doté d'un code d'investissement moderne et compétitif, véritable référence dans la sous-région, qui garantit aux investisseurs nationaux comme étrangers un cadre sûr et attractif. Ce dispositif offre une panoplie d'avantages fiscaux et non fiscaux, parmi lesquels l'exonération des patentes pour une période allant de 5 à 10 ans, l'exonération totale de l'impôt sur les bénéfices pour les personnes physiques comme morales, l'exonération de la taxe intérieure de la consommation sur les matériaux nécessaires à la mise en œuvre des projets d'investissement, ainsi que sur les matières premières pendant 5 ans.
En outre, la liberté d'entreprendre est pleinement garantie en République de Djibouti. Toute personne, qu'elle soit nationale ou étrangère, peut investir et développer son activité dans le respect des lois en vigueur. À cela s'ajoute un environnement financier particulièrement favorable. Notre monnaie nationale, le franc djiboutien, est solidement amarré au dollar américain pour une parité fixe de $1 qui est égale à 177,721 francs Djibouti, garantissant une stabilité monétaire unique dans la région. De plus, il n'existe aucun contrôle d'échange ni restriction au transfert de capitaux vers l'étranger. Djibouti dispose également d'un réseau bancaire performant, composé de filiales de grands groupes internationaux capables d'assurer l'ensemble des opérations financières et de faciliter les transactions des investisseurs. En somme, investir à Djibouti, c'est bénéficier d'un climat d'affaires stable, transparent et compétitif, mais aussi d'un gouvernement résolument engagé à accompagner et à sécuriser chaque initiative privée. Mesdames et Messieurs, distingués invités, du fait de sa position, Djibouti se veut ainsi un hub de résilience agricole en Afrique de l'Est, un lieu où les investisseurs trouvent à la fois sécurité, rentabilité et impact social dans une région tourmentée. Dans ce cadre, notre pays a choisi d'adopter une stratégie ambitieuse et réaliste pour transformer son secteur agricole. Avec l'appui de la FAO et de nos partenaires, nous avons défini 4 domaines prioritaires d'investissement. Le développement des palmiers dattiers, avec une consommation locale estimée à plus de 2200 tonnes par an et une production actuelle couvrant à peine 5% de ses besoins. La filière phénicole est une priorité nationale. L'objectif de développer 1000 hectares de palmeraie modernes avec irrigation optimisée, unités de conditionnement et de conservation afin de positionner Djibouti comme fournisseur régional de dattes de qualité. La production maraîchère sous serre et tunnel. Aujourd'hui, plus de 70 000 tonnes de légumes sont emportées chaque année. Notre ambition est de multiplier les serres acclimatées et tunnels ombragés afin d'atteindre au moins 25% de couverture à la demande locale d'ici quelques années. Cela réduira la dépendance extérieure et améliorera l'accès de nos citoyens à une alimentation diversifiée, saine. La filière aquacole, Djibouti, avec son potentiel maritime, a vocation à devenir un acteur aquacole compétitif. La consommation annuelle de poissons est de 6 000 tonnes, dont la moitié seulement est produite localement. Grâce à la création d'écloseries, de bassins d'unités de conditionnement et de formation, nous voulons bâtir une filière aquacole durable, génératrice d'emplois, de valeur ajoutée. La viande et les dérivés, construction d'un abattoir moderne. Le marché local est estimé à 16 millions de tonnes par an et le marché d'exportation vers la région MENA, 24 000 tonnes par an, offre des opportunités considérables. La construction d'un abattoir moderne répondant aux normes internationales permettra de valoriser les productions locales, de renforcer la traçabilité sanitaire et d'accroître nos exportations à forte valeur ajoutée. Ces investissements ne sont pas seulement des priorités économiques, ils traduisent la vision de Djibouti de bâtir un secteur agricole moderne, résilient et inclusif, créateur d'emplois pour notre jeunesse, générateur de valeur ajoutée et vecteur de stabilité sociale. Mesdames et Messieurs, distingués invités, à la jeunesse du monde, et plus particulièrement à celle du Sud global, je voudrais dire ceci. Vous êtes la force vive du changement, le moteur du développement plus juste et plus durable. Le secteur primaire, l'agriculture, l'élevage et la pêche, La valorisation de nos terres et de nos mers n'est pas un héritage du passé, mais un pilier collectif de notre avenir, un pilier de notre avenir collectif. En y investissant votre savoir, votre passion et votre créativité, vous contribuerez à gagner la bataille de la sécurité alimentaire et à bâtir des économies résilientes, capables d'offrir des emplois et des revenus décents à des millions de jeunes. Toutefois, nous devons faire face à une réalité implacable. Le changement climatique pèse lourdement sur nos systèmes de production. Nous ne sommes pas des pays qui dégagent des gaz à effet de serre. Par contre, nous les subissons lourdement. Sécheresse prolongée, cyclones dévastatrices, érosion côtière, manque de précipitations, inondations soudaines ou encore ravageurs agricoles menacent la sécurité alimentaire et la stabilité des communautés rurales. Ces phénomènes n'épargnent aucun pays et frappent avec plus d'intensité encore les nations du Sud du Sud global où les moyens d'adaptation demeurent limités. C'est pourquoi il est impératif de renforcer la résilience climatique de nos agriculteurs, d'investir dans les pratiques durables et d'encourager la recherche et l'innovation au service de la durabilité. Dans ce contexte, la FAO, en sa qualité d'organisation et chef de file, doit accélérer les transferts et la diffusion de nouvelles technologies fondées sur la blockchain, l'intelligence artificielle et les solutions numériques adaptées aux réalités du terrain. Ces outils sont essentiels pour révolutionner la traçabilité, améliorer la prévision climatique, renforcer la gestion des ressources hydriques et accroître la productivité en réduisant l'impact environnemental. Mais cette transformation ne pourra se faire sans engagement financier à la hauteur de nos ambitions. J'en appelle donc solennellement à la mobilisation accrue de nos partenaires au développement, des institutions financières internationales, des fonds climatiques et des investisseurs privés. Le secteur primaire du Sud global a besoin d'investissements massifs, innovants et durables pour révéler tout son potentiel. Soutenir nos agriculteurs, nos éleveurs, nos pêcheurs, c'est investir dans la stabilité, dans la paix et dans la prospérité partagée. Ensemble, transformons la solidarité internationale en un véritable partenariat d'action fondé sur la confiance, la responsabilité et l'impact concret sur le terrain. Et à la jeunesse djiboutienne, je veux dire tout particulièrement, vous êtes au cœur de cette ambition nationale. Vous portez l'espoir d'un Djibouti souverain dans sa sécurité alimentaire, fort dans sa résilience et audacieux dans son innovation. Notre pays, malgré la rudesse du climat et la rareté de ses ressources, possède une richesse inestimable, celle de sa jeunesse dynamique, éduquée et déterminée. Engagez-vous dans le secteur primaire, entreprenez, innovez, faites de l'agriculture, de la pêche, de l'élevage et de la transformation agroalimentaire les piliers d'une nouvelle économie djiboutienne. Le gouvernement vous accompagnera par la formation, le financement et l'appui technique afin que chaque jeune djiboutien puisse devenir acteur et bénéficiaire du développement de son pays. Je voudrais aussi adresser un message fraternel à la jeunesse des pays développés. Vous aussi, vous faites face à des défis majeurs. La rentabilité de vos exploitations fragilisée par la volatilité des marchés, la pression et la concurrence internationale, la financiarisation du secteur primaire, l'endettement, la raréfaction des terres et la précarisation des métiers ruraux. À cela s'ajoutent les effets du changement climatique qui bouleversent vos besoins, vos rendements et vos équilibres sociaux, ainsi que les hausses des coûts des intrants et de l'énergie, la pression normative et le vieillissement des actifs agricoles. Pourtant, vous avez entre vos mains les moyens, les connaissances et les technologies pour bâtir un modèle de production plus durable, plus juste et plus humain. Continuez à innover, à produire sans épuiser, à préserver sans renoncer, à partager vos savoirs avec les jeunes du Sud dans un esprit de solidarité et de responsabilité commune. L'avenir de notre planète dépend de votre capacité à réconcilier productivité, durabilité, progrès et respect de la nature. Dans un monde en quête de durabilité et d'équité, c'est dans nos champs, nos villages, nos rivages et nos innovations locales que se trouvent les solutions de demain. La jeunesse du Nord, comme celle du Sud, a le devoir et surtout le pouvoir de transformer ses ressources en richesses, ses défis en opportunités et ses rêves en réalité. Ensemble, faisons du secteur primaire le cœur battant d'un développement inclusif, souverain et tourné vers l'avenir. Mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, la République de Djibouti offre un cadre unique et compétitif pour l'investissement. À Djibouti, aucune obligation de joint venture avec un ressortissant national n'est imposée. Chaque investisseur, qu'il soit local ou étranger, bénéficie d'une égalité de traitement garantie par la loi. Mieux encore, la liberté de rapatriement des bénéfices est totale, sans aucune restriction. Notre gouvernement est pleinement engagé à bâtir un environnement propice à l'investissement en mettant en place des réformes réglementaires, fiscales et infrastructurelles qui assurent non seulement l'attractivité, mais aussi la durabilité des projets. Mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, l'initiative Hand in Hand de la FAO n'est pas seulement une opportunité, c'est une nécessité. Elle constitue un levier pour transformer nos systèmes agroalimentaires, promouvoir la justice alimentaire, lutter contre les effets du changement climatique et atteindre les objectifs de développement durable. Djibouti est prête à marcher main dans la main avec vous tous. Pour terminer, je voudrais une fois de plus réitérer mes remerciements à tous les partenaires techniques et financiers pour leur appui multiforme et plus particulièrement à la FAO. Je vous remercie et je vous invite dès à présent à prolonger cette réflexion au sein du panel que vous allez animer, dans lequel le ministre de l'Agriculture de Djibouti sera présent. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your powerful remarks. I now invite you to take a seat. Thank you. I would now like to welcome on stage our panel moderator, Ms. Angelica Jacome, Director of the FAO Liaison Office with the United Nations in New York, along with our youth panelists, Nakita Boya from the World Food Forum Cameroon Youth Chapter and Roger Abebe from the World Food Forum Côte d'Ivoire Chapter. Over to you, Angelica.
Bienvenue à tous et merci d'être parmi nous pour cette deuxième discussion où nous allons explorer ensemble l'importance d'investir dans la transformation des systèmes agroalimentaires. Nous savons que les jeunes jouent un rôle essentiel dans la conception et la mise en œuvre de solutions efficaces aux défis auxquels nous sommes confrontés. Donc, à nous aider à mieux comprendre les enjeux et enrichir la discussion, nous avons le plaisir d'accueillir Nakita Boya et Roger Abi. Je commence avec le panel et avec le demande. Alors, je commence avec toi, Nakita. Pourquoi est-il important d'investir dans la transformation des systèmes agroalimentaires si l'on veut construire un futur plus résilient et plus durable?
Merci beaucoup, Angelica, pour cette question. Good morning, FAO.
Good afternoon.
Happy anniversary. It's a big honor to be here today in the grand opening of the World Food Forum. And we are in Italy, So allow me to also say hi to the Italian. Vorrei ringraziare e dare un buongiorno speciale a tutti gli italiani nella stanza e online. Gracias. Grazie. Now, to reply to your question, Angelica, I have a question for all of us here. Who ate anything last week? Everyone, right? We all ate something. So we are all involved in the agri-food systems process because by definition, the agri-food systems include all the activities and actors interconnected in the process of getting food from field to fork. So of course, this includes agricultural production, consumption, distribution, and waste management. Now, how is it linked to youth and why is it so critical to invest in agri-food system? So we already know that food systems is really where inequality and vulnerability converge. And this includes the little farmer facing price shock. This includes the rural woman with limited access to finance and land. And this also includes the children suffering from malnutrition. And also, I did study economics for my master's and PhD, and research showed that investing in agri-food system can actually unlock up to $5 trillion a year. But only 2% to 4% of the climate finance goes to agriculture. So there is actually a huge gap and a huge potential for investment there. And now, even if we move from the economic to the environmental perspective, because as Angelica mentioned, if we are talking about sustainable and resilient future, of course, we are talking about environment. Actually, 30% of the greenhouse gas emissions are caused by food systems. But yet, it is still a huge potential to preserve the environment. How? With climate-smart agricultural practices, including indigenous crop. We are talking about local seed production that are actually very key in the global south, including Africa. So the question of if invest in, of how or why we should invest in agri-food system is already clear. Now, specifically, how this investment and in youth, what exactly and how we can invest in youth. And what I will say now is not what I think. It's actually the process of the youth consultation that happened to for the 4th Finance for Development Conference in Seville, where there were more than 500 young people from all over the world. And what came again and again, so this is what the 500 young people said, is if we really want to include them and invest in agri-food system, the key here will be the investment in access. And I know we have been saying it a lot from day one and in every forums, but what is investment to access here? It can be different. If we talk about access, we can talk about access to land, we can talk about access to finance, and we can talk about access to decision-making process. For instance, it will be really critical and important that performative inclusion stops. What do I mean by performative inclusion? It is not that after everything has been done, then we think, okay, is there a young person there? But actually, it will be key to include young people from the get-go, from the design process. And talking about it, I do not know, Angelica, if I'm talking too much. Okay. But an example of this, of what I'm saying here is the World Food Forum national chapters. Because in the World Food Forum national chapters, youth are actually given the main stage, as you can see. And the FAO is supporting this process. For instance, the FAO representation in Cameroon, that I'm really, really happy, supported young people to attend this forum. This is a clear commitment, and they also have, I'm talking about Cameroon because I am from the World Food Forum Cameroon, this really shows a clear investment and intention to include youth from the design process. And in that representation, there is also a youth focal point that supports this initiative. Now we can talk about other initiatives later, but I will not. Je ne vais pas monopoliser la parole, Madame Angelica. Du coup, je vous la remets. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Je passe à l'anglais parce qu'il a fait de l'intervention en anglais et you have really highlighted this aspect of including youth from the beginning and the importance of access. So from your point of view, how can youth contribute to this conversation and contribute to get there?
Yeah, thank you. I love this question because for youth to contribute to the conversation, youth should feel empowered. And empowered here is a key word because sometimes we bring you to the table, right? But they do not feel the support or the confidence to challenge the different ideas because they are afraid. Maybe there are a lot, not of old people, but of young at heart in the panel. They are afraid maybe people will take what they are saying in a different way, so they do not really feel empowered. So the key point here is to really, and I love what Her Royal Highness, the Princess mentioned, is to really make the young people feel they can actually contribute to the conversation, because if they are saying something and then it is not considered or it's not even listened to, it is difficult for them to keep contributing. So empowerment here is a key word. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing the importance of empowerment and listening to youth. And I'll pass now to you, Roger. De votre point de vue, quels types d'investissements sont les plus urgents aujourd'hui pour accélérer l'innovation et renforcer l'action communautaire, et pourquoi sont-ils les plus importants?
OK. So, merci à tout le monde. Merci pour l'opportunité. Moi, c'est Roger Abbé. Je viens de la Côte d'Ivoire. So I wanted to start in French because that's where I belong. So now we can go in English. So thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you, dear delegates, for this amazing opportunity. I'm really delighted to be here this afternoon and to discuss on this panel. So for me, from a youth perspective, I mean the most urgent investment are those that unlock creativity, also provide tools and reduce barriers to actions. So what I mean, we have 4 different steps on which I think investment is really urgent. So we can start by investing in capacity and skills, because agri-food system is a whole science, and without knowledge, we can't do anything. So young people need to be trained. They need the right training to help them get the necessary knowledge to get into agri-food system. The second thing is invest in access to finance. So most of the time, financial institutions don't trust young people. So that's a reality. And with our chapter, we have been battling, with the government and institution to facilitate accessing finance for young people. So I'm aware of exactly what it feels like to go to the finance institution with a bright ideas, wanted to be supported and be dismissed. So we also need to facilitate that for young people. So speaking from a youth perspective, I think that will also give us the necessary also courage, because what's happened most of the time is when one of us has been rejected, the second doesn't even have the urge to go and ask for any finance support. So from one testimony to another one, this creates a kind of, we are all discouraged at the end of the day. So we also need support on that. Third, invest in technology and infrastructure, because digital tools like access to data, irrigation system, and processing facilities are also essential to scale innovations. So even if we have the training, we have the right training, even if we have the finance and we don't have infrastructure, we cannot do anything. So this is also something that is key to the process of this. And this is where also the World Food Forum national chapters also are important, because we also have to break this gap between getting the finance or the infrastructure and also help young people to thrive in the fields. And last one on this, I would like to say that we also need network and mentorship. You know, we need assistance from the peers, from the most experienced one, because we young people need the support of our elders. Most of the time we can make mistakes because we lack of knowledge, we lack of capacities, but when we have our peers, we have our elders giving us the shoulder, we know that no matter what happens our way, we have people to listen to us, people to cheer us, people to support and to help us grow. So this is what I have to say for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's great that the only non-francophone is the one that has to, give her better French during this. But you mentioned a few very great points about, the need for capacity building, reducing barriers to access financing, investment in technology and infrastructure. But one of the last points you mentioned, and I think this is very important to what is going on here at the World Food Forum, is the network and membership. And here you have the network and you have a room full of mentors at your disposal, and they're very happy to have these conversations and to listen, as Her Royal Highness mentioned. So unfortunately, we are at the end of this panel. I wish to thank you, Roger and Nikita, for your great interventions, and thank all of you for suffering through my French and for being here with us and enjoying listening to these youth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our moderator, Nikita from Cameroon and Roger from Côte d'Ivoire for underlining the importance of inclusive investment and sustainable growth. Now, what stands out about investment is that it's not only about finance, it's about trust and equity and ensuring that resources reach those who can create lasting impact. Next, we're honored to hear from His Excellency Luis Abinader, President of the Dominican Republic, who will join us with a video address.
Excelentísimo Director General, distinguidos amigos y amigas de la FAO. En nombre del pueblo y del gobierno de la República Dominicana, reciban nuestras más sinceras felicitaciones por este 80 aniversario. 8 décadas de servicio a la humanidad, acompañando a los países en los momentos más difíciles, promoviendo la seguridad alimentaria, la nutrición y la erradicación del hambre en todas sus formas. La FAO ha sido, a lo largo de estos años, un faro de esperanza y de cooperación internacional. La República Dominicana se siente profundamente identificada con esa misión. Nuestro compromiso con garantizar el derecho a una alimentación adecuada para cada dominicano y dominicana es absoluto. Y se refleja en nuestras políticas y programas para fortalecer los sistemas agroalimentarios, apoyar a nuestros productores y productoras y asegurar que la seguridad alimentaria sea uno de los pilares del desarrollo nacional. Ese esfuerzo colectivo ha dado frutos. Hemos logrado una reducción histórica de la subalimentación que pasó de un 8.3 en el 2019 a 3.6 en el 2025. Este avance no solo es motivo de orgullo nacional, sino que nos coloca en una posición de liderazgo frente a los promedios internacionales, por debajo del 8.2% a nivel mundial, del 5.1% en América Latina y a distancia del preocupante 17.5% en el Caribe. Estos datos reflejan no solo estadísticas, sino vidas transformadas, familias con más oportunidades y un futuro más seguro para nuestra niñez. Hoy celebramos junto a ustedes este aniversario y lo hacemos reconociendo la labor incansable de la FAO y reafirmando nuestra disposición de continuar trabajando hombro a hombro por un mundo más justo, más solidario y libre de hambre. La República Dominicana seguirá aportando con convicción a esta causa común, convencida de que la seguridad alimentaria no es solo un objetivo, sino un derecho humano esencial y una condición indispensable para la paz y el desarrollo sostenible y duradero de los pueblos. Muchas gracias y feliz aniversario.
Thank you, Excellency, for sharing your vision and for the Dominican Republic's commitment to a better food future for all. And now let's enjoy a glimpse of this week's cultural program with a preview of the World Food Forum Film Festival.
The talent shown in this year's film festival is truly exceptional. I encourage you to watch the films in full and experience the power of storytelling in addressing food challenges in inspiring action. Next, we will continue the conversation with our third roundtable, Science and Innovation for a Better Food Future. To open the session, I invite His Excellency Minister Dlamini, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, to provide his remarks. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
The Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, Your Majesty, the King of Lesotho, Excellencies, Heads of States and Government, leaders of delegations, captains of global industries and private sector players, representatives of multilateral organizations, representatives of non-government organizations, ladies and gentlemen. It is my profound honor to deliver this address today on behalf of His Majesty King Mswati III, who is unfortunately held up by other exigencies of state, but sends his warmest regards and best wishes for the success of your deliberations today. It is also truly an honor to give this address at this grand occasion of the opening ceremony of the World Food Forum, a very important annual global platform that drives action to transform agri-food systems through the power of youth, science, and innovation, as well as investment. This year's theme is hand in hand for better foods and a better future. Excellencies, distinguished guests, this year's event is special as it marks a key milestone. FAO turns 80 on the 16th of October. I've been informed that FAO's 80th anniversary is sparking a wave of celebration across the globe, with each region bringing its own stories, achievements, and spirit to this historic milestone. From historical exhibitions in Africa, highlighting decades of partnerships in food security and rural development, to Kyrgyzstan's planting of 80 hectares of forests in pursuit of environmental sustainability. Latin America and the Caribbean are reflecting on a legacy of collective action for transformation. Each of these and other numerous initiatives encapsulates FAO's work with partners to achieve better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life for all. The World Food Forum is primarily organized I run the Global Youth Action, Science and Innovation Forum and the Hand-in-Hand Initiatives Investment Forum. Additionally, this week will also feature high-profile events such as the annual World Food Day and the official inauguration of the Food and Agriculture Museum Network. For all this, I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate the Director General of the FAO, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, and indeed our partners for taking FAO to another level and create these very important platforms to transform our agri-food systems. Excellencies, the 2025 report of the state on the state of food security and nutrition in the world shows that while some progress has been made in recent years, levels of hunger and malnutrition in the world have remained above the levels experienced before COVID-19 pandemic and way behind the SDG target 2.1. Similarly, despite some progress in the global nutrition targets, the world is not on track to achieve SDG target 2.2, which is ensuring nutritional well-being for all people, which aims to eliminate all forms of malnutrition. Among other factors, persistent food price inflation has slowed this momentum in many countries, especially among low-income populations. However, it is encouraging that from this same report, populations facing hunger are on a downward trend, declining from 8.7 to 8.5 and 8.2% in the years 2022, 2023, and 2024, respectively. The progress is driven by notable improvements in Southeastern Asia, Southern Asia, and South America, in contrast to the continuing rise in hunger in most sub-regions of Africa and in Western Asia. It is estimated that between 638 and 720 million people, corresponding to 7.8 and 8.8% of the global population respectively, faced hunger in 2024. The global number of the undernourished is expected to decrease going forward, but 512 million people are still projected to be facing hunger in 2030, of whom nearly 60% will be in Africa. May I mention some of the factors at play, culminating in the bad outcomes for our agri-food systems? The main drivers of global food insecurity currently are a convergence of conflict, climate extremes, and economic shocks. These interconnected forces, particularly conflict and climate change, are exacerbating poverty and limiting access to food, pushing millions into severe levels of hunger and acute malnutrition. Conflicts remain the leading cause of acute food crisis, displacing populations and disrupting food systems and access to aid. Famine is a reality in some areas, and the risk remains high in others. Climate extremes and disruptive weather patterns, such as droughts and floods, are intensifying, severely impacting food production, supply chains, and resource availability, particularly in vulnerable regions. Economic shocks and instability, including poverty, unemployment, and inflation, undermine people's ability to access food, even when it is available. These three main drivers often overlap, creating a devastating crisis of convergence, where the effects of the combination are worse than the sum of the effects of the individual causes. A critical issue compounding the problem is the significant decline in funding for long-term solutions and food crisis response, even as the number of people facing hunger increases. Excellencies, let us take this opportunity to remind ourselves of our own commitments, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or Agenda 2030. Unfortunately, although improvements have been made, in a few cases, most countries are off track to meet most of these targets by 2030, with less than 5 years to go. At the same time, Our planet faces multiple crises that are directly linked to our agri-food systems, including conflicts, climate change, biodiversity loss, deforestation, soil degradation, amongst others. We are failing to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement and the rest of the SDGs. Our agri-food systems continue to be responsible for 30% of global human-caused greenhouse gas emissions, 90% of global deforestation, 70% of water use, and are the single greatest cause of terrestrial biodiversity loss. In the same forum a year ago, it was highlighted that we need to expedite agri-food systems reforms. We need to take fast action now. Sitsingwe, our local call for urgency, remains the clarion call for us to rally around. With less than 5 years remaining to the 2030 deadline, I am deeply saddened that we are currently off track, especially in achieving SDG 2 on zero hunger. To reverse this trend, we must immediately act upon the critical points raised last year, which remain acutely relevant today. This requires a comprehensive and concerted effort across several fronts. First, we must focus on governance and finance by implementing deliberate, systemic, and strong measures to transform our agri-food systems to become resilient and inclusive. This includes deploying practical policy instruments and creating an enabling framework for increased investments. Second, we must drive behavioral and agricultural change by pushing for and incentivizing healthy eating and promoting the switch to regenerative and sustainable agriculture. Third, this transformation demands that we urgently embrace innovation. We must switch to new ways of doing things through careful tools, technology, and incentives, which means supporting the deployment of green technologies and harnessing the accelerators of agri-food systems transformation as identified by FAO. Crucially, as we do this, global equity demands that we make climate finance more accessible to developing countries. Excellencies, I want to further emphasize the importance of the following actions which are aligned to the theme of this year's forum, hand in hand for better foods and a better future. We must urgently address the need to increase investments by governments, the private sector, and developmental partners in agri-food systems. I'm happy to note that the FAO-led hand-in-hand initiative is to a reasonable extent succeeding in marshalling investments in agri-food systems, prioritizing countries and territories where poverty and hunger are highest, national capacities are limited, or operational difficulties are greatest due to natural or man-made crises. I have been informed that in excess of US $16 billion has been mobilized in investment commitments across the globe since the start of the initiative. This commitment must extend to crafting and investing in inclusive business models that integrate small-scale farmers, the youth, low-income societies, marginalized groups, and disadvantaged populations into mainstream agri-food systems and their transformation. We must also focus on leveraging technology, including promoting use of artificial intelligence, remote sensing, global information system, drone technology, and other innovations to optimize resource utilization and fast-track our agri-food systems reconstruction. This is crucial for harnessing the demographic dividend of youth agility in combination with the fourth industrial revolution to increase the participation of youth in agri-food systems. I am happy to note that this year, the World Food Forum Youth Initiative is in action for our youth. As we do, it is imperative that we design appropriate agri-tech solutions, preserve indigenous and traditional knowledge, rethink food education, and secure meaningful youth engagement in policy spaces. The voices of the youth matter, and their actions count. Furthermore, ensuring availability of resources equitably across the globe is fundamental. This also applies to sharing of technology and information. For example, seed production systems must not be weaponized. Finally, keeping sustainability of our agri-food systems at the center of all transformation is powerful, is paramount. We need to use approaches that, while increasing productivity, remain environmentally sensitive, maintain biodiversity, and are socially responsible. We owe that to posterity. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, having recounted the challenges and opportunities, I am pleased to state that the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini has progressed in integrating the agri-food systems approach in transforming our agriculture to make it more effective in delivering nutritious food while preserving the environment and creating jobs for our people. Of note is the investment in water harvesting, bulk water storage, and irrigation development to build resilience of our farming communities. Increased access to agriculture finance to stimulate production and downstream industries, as well as investment in technology, logistics, and cold chain management. In this regard, I would like to appreciate the FAO for continued support in the systematic transformation of our agri-food system, policy environment, and invite all partners and private sector players to support these initiatives and scale up successes. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I end by stating that the theme for this year's forum, Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future, should be more than a mere slogan. It must be our operational blueprint. It means that to achieve better production, sustainable climate smart, and resilient, we must ensure better nutrition for every citizen, eliminating hunger and all forms of malnutrition. This collective effort is inseparable from safeguarding a better environment, reversing degradation and loss, and ultimately guaranteeing a better life for all. Where economic opportunity and social equity leave absolutely no behind. Let us join hands and act for agri-food systems transformation and for our shared future. And I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your words. I now invite you to please join me back on stage. As I call on stage Ms. Monica Frohler, CEO of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. Please. Here. Thank you, sir. As well as our young panelists, Ms. Kenza Buzuba and Barituka Beke from the World Food Forum Young Scientist Group. Monica, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, we are very happy that you are still here. Science and innovation should not be an afterthought. Yet, we only have 15 minutes to give you our main messages. Prime Minister, thank you so much for your words and thank you for joining us. But the limelight of this session shall be on the young scientists that have joined. Now, science and innovation is a heart, like it's the key to food transformation. I hope that all of you agree to that. And also, yet we are seeing climate pressures that are worsening all around the globe. We need to examine the solutions that are there on the ground. At the Ban Ki-moon Foundation, which I'm allowed to lead, we are particularly amplifying the voices of smallholder farmers, because they are the ones that often introduce the solutions, particularly on agricultural adaptation. And we need to invest more, politically, financially, into agricultural adaptation. And I think all of us agree to that. But let's examine the solutions that are out there. I would love to turn the floor, particularly to you, young scientists. We have Kenza with us. She's from Morocco and truly a stellar scientist. So, Kenza, let me turn right away to you. From your perspective, why is science and innovation essential for transforming our food systems?
Thank you very much for the question. So, with the growing food crisis and climate change pressure affecting the agri-food system, the world is now at the critical junction to find solutions. Science and innovation are not optional, they are the foundation. Science helps us understand these challenges, and innovation provides us the tools to act effectively. Science can help us measure the impact of our actions and help us find evidence-based solutions, while innovation provides us the tools. Innovation also helps us translate the knowledge. For instance, we can mention precision agriculture. We can also mention climate-resilient crops or circular bioeconomy systems. But innovation, it's not only about technology. It is also social and institutional. By involving farmers' knowledge, women leadership, and youth entrepreneurship. Thank you.
That is wonderful. Crisp and clear. Kenza, let me ask you right away as well. What would you say? How can we support young scientists even better to amplify real-world solutions?
We, as young scientists, are deeply motivated to contribute to more resilient agri-food systems. Yet, many of us face a gap, the gap between research and the real world. Very often, results stay in publications, and farmers and local communities do not benefit from it. Closing this gap requires a link between research and reality. This can be done by contributing in the creation of living labs, field schools, but also digital platforms where scientists and farmers can contribute together, co-design and co-create projects. We can also provide more financial support to early career researchers for them to test in the field their research outcomes. We can also provide more training in entrepreneurship and communication to young scientists to help them to translate their scientific knowledge into solutions that are applicable, scalable, but also realistic. Last but not least, we should also be involved in decision-making process, because science is not only about producing data, it's more about producing a tangible change.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Very, very true. You're getting another applause? Yes, give her another applause. Indeed, so we need research entities, we need hubs of innovation and science. Maybe many of you know CGIAR. We are, as Ban Ki-moon Foundation, fans of CGIAR because they are doing a great job, but also FAO science hubs are amazing. Let me ask you, from Parituka, from your perspective from Nigeria, why do you think is it essential to invest into young scientists? Why is it important that science and innovation is there for transforming food systems?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. So yeah, like my colleague Kenza said, science and innovation, provides us with the tools, the data, the approaches to make our agri-food systems more resilient, sustainable, efficient. And if you pick any of those desired outcomes, and maybe I can give some examples, right? So take nutrition, for instance, right? With science and innovation, we can promote dietary diversity. It's sad that, about 40% of our calories come from just 3 staple crops, right? And there are thousands of edible plant species. With science and innovation, we can harness the potential in our biological resources. Also take, say, food loss and food waste. Through science and innovation, we can upcycle unwanted produce or food waste to become new, new products. We can, extend storage life, talk about things like green nanotechnology. We can improve harvesting techniques. We can just, she mentioned the circular, and it's in with regards to all the outcomes, even efficiency, right? We can optimize, production. We can minimize, the waste of resources. So there are just so many ways in which science and innovation helps our agri-food system transform.
Perfect. Can you give us examples where youth was really supported effectively? Maybe in your experience, I know you're a sociologist as well, but also an entrepreneur, and you have worked across the value chain in sub-Saharan Africa, I heard, particularly with lots of young agri-champions. How can we marry the traditional knowledge and the science? What are examples that you know thereof?
Thank you. I think what traditional knowledge brings to the table, right? It brings, a deep-rooted understanding in local ecosystems. And, by the time you integrate that with modern science, we can actually produce food that's not just adequate and safe, but also, culturally relevant, appropriate. I think it was said earlier that food is not just about sustenance, it's about, dignity, identity, culture. So I think there's a big role for traditional knowledge to play. So let's even say for something like crop management or soil management, we can use modern, nutrient data to guide our intercropping or, crop rotation systems from traditional knowledge. For breeding, we could, respect the seed diversity from, local communities while, enhancing traits like, drought tolerance. We can, across the value chain, we can see various areas in which traditional knowledge can be helpful. But I think another very key thing, right, is, when it comes to participatory research, right, bringing both scientists, local farmers, extension agents, and making sure there is, capacity building in both directions. So while farmers are being trained on how to utilize, science in modern scientific technologies and, science principles, but the scientists as well and the extension agents, they should be trained in the local culture in also various, insights from traditional knowledge systems. And that way we produce food that is safe, that is nutritious, but is also, culturally relevant. We prioritize local crops.
Yeah, rooted in the origins of the local circumstances. That's brilliant. Prime Minister, we haven't forgotten you because we do need to loop in government. Young scientists need the support of governments. And I would like to ask you, Prime Minister, young researchers play a key role. How can governments, hand in hand with young scientists, scale impact of innovations?
Well, thank you. Thank you again for having me here. I really, first of all, think that investment in agriculture should not just be rhetoric, but and also just talking about it, but it must be direct. It must be investment that benefits the youth, the young people, the scientists directly. If you look around, you will notice that people who have been trained in agriculture, who are actually good as agricultural scientists, end up diverting and doing other jobs. They don't stay on their jobs because it's not paying as it should be. Similarly, the youth who are out there in the rural areas, some of them, either they own their own land or their parents' own land, but they don't want to work on the land. They'd rather take other jobs because agriculture is not paying at that level. So it is important for governments to ensure that agriculture pays. So if you are engaged in agriculture, either in production or in science, then it must pay. And for you really to be productive in science or as an agricultural scientist, you must be engaged at the level in one way or the other. The other thing is that we must make agriculture attractive to the youth. Of course, using finances, the youth must see that they can make a very good living, not just a living, but a good living out of agriculture. Then they will stay if we make a good living. Finally, we have many points, but I know that you don't have time. We must make agriculture less labor intensive, and that is where science is important. Because youth don't want to work hard, they don't want labor intensive work right now, which agriculture is, unless we innovate into the future. Thank you.
Fascinating. Thank you very much. A round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. I hear you starting. That has deserved an applause. We have 3 minutes left, and I'm tempted to use these 3 minutes for asking you for the one message. Should the audience forget everything that they have heard, what is the one message that you would like them to take away from your statements and that they should still be talking about in the corridors afterwards? And maybe I can start with you, Kenza. What is the one message?
The one message that I would like to address is that we should all work together in order to enhance youth empowerment in agriculture.
Thank you. Let's work together. Barituka, what's your one message?
I would say that given the right support, youth can leverage science and innovation to make our agri-food systems transformed. Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
For the benefit of people and the planet.
Yes. Applause. Prime Minister, the last word is with you.
Well, I would say agri-food systems is a complex issue, and we must approach it holistically. We must not invest in one or few components of the system, but we must approach that holistically, which includes definitely the youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dear audience, that's the close of this panel. Thank you very much.
Monica, Excellency, Kenza from Morocco, and Barituka from Nigeria for those thought-provoking reflections on the role of science and innovation in shaping our food future. Your words really show how evidence-based research and creativity can work together to accelerate transformation. And now, as the colleagues clear the stage, join me please in welcoming singer and songwriter Sarah Kuricic from Guatemala, who will be performing in her mother tongue, Cachiquel, as well as in Spanish and English. So please give Sarah a warm round of applause. We are still clearing the stage, but Sarah, please join me on stage. Thank you, Sarah.
Hola a todas y a todos. ¿Cómo están? ¿Bien? Muy bien. De pronto ya hay un poco de cansancio, pero ustedes saben que sus voces son muy importantes. You know your voices is very, very important, and we need amplify. And many of you listened to this song in the morning. So, please sing with me. Please sing with me. Por favor, canten conmigo y retumbemos este edificio con sus voces. ¿Les parece? Vámonos, pues. Entonces, el coro, the chorus of the song is sí, sí siembra, sí, sí siembra, sí, sí siembra, germina libertad. ¿Se les quedó? ¿Sí? Lo intentamos una vez, ¿no? A ver, intentemos. Sí, sí siembra, sí. Muy bien. Sí, sí siembra, germina libertad. Because if you sow, freedom sprouts. La tierra guarda voces, memoria de siglos. Cada semilla es un testimonio vivo como tu aliento. Insistir en florecer, gestar la palabra de fuego. Que hay un pulso en la tierra que también habita en tu interior. Fácilmente puede ser el eco de tu voz que guía a transmutar a la sanación. Sí, sí siembra, sí. Si siembra, sí, si siembra, germina libertad. Come, let us awaken from the heart of jungles and ancestral forest. Every seed carries a resonant song, reshaping, reweaving the living web. Quiero caminar con vos, ir germinando los pies en la tierra, ir silbando los cantos al bosque con vos germinar. Cante conmigo, por favor. Sí, sí siembra. Sí, eso. Sí siembra. Sí, sí siembra. Germina libertad. Sí, sí siembra. Sí, sí siembra. Siembra canto, amor, resistencia, siembra. Germina libertad. Muchísimas gracias. Gracias por sus voces. Thank you so much for your beautiful voices. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for delighting us again with your beautiful voice. And of course, you will also be able to listen to more music this afternoon at the World Food Forum concert in the Sheikh Zayed Center at 6. So music, just like food, of course, connects us and reminds us of our shared humanity. And just as art requires both inspiration and support, so does the transformation of our agri-food systems. Please stay on stage with us. So over to you, Jambi, to close us off.
Well, what an extraordinary afternoon of dialogue, culture, and inspiration. We'd like to start by thanking you all for joining us. And as we continue this week, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration, innovation, and solidarity that define both the 80 years of FAO and the 5 years of the World Food Forum. We invite you to join the myriads of sessions and dialogues taking place throughout the week and to make the most of this forum. Together, we can transform our agri-food systems hand in hand for better foods and a better future. Thank you again, and we wish you a successful and productive week.
Thank you. Thank you.